Okay. There's this expectation as a creator to be authentic, to share your life with the audience. Not everything, but enough. That enough adds up. And eventually there's this version of you online that people feel like they know, even when you know nothing about them. And this imbalanced bond is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm about to finish up my social media degree. Yes, it's a real course. Yes, my parents are thrilled. And one of the theories that we've learned about that really stuck with me was this idea of a parasocial relationship. The concept was first described by Horton and Wohl in 1956, and it basically explains how we form these relationships with media figures, even though we don't actually interact with them. So if you've ever watched a streamer and you've thought, wow, I'd be great friends with them, congrats, you're now part of my case study. It used to be pretty straightforward. A stage actor would do their performance, show you this character, and at the end of the show, they take their bows. They perform, and then you saw them stop performing. But TV blurred that line, and the internet completely obliterated it. Our media figures aren't just on one screen anymore, they are everywhere. Streaming constantly, liking, replying, posting. Hell, if your favorite influencer didn't post anything for 24 hours, you probably think they died. So what happens now when the performance never ends? When these characters that we're watching are a constant part of our lives? How does this affect the way that we connect with these entertainers? And what does it do to the people in front of the camera? To get some insight, I sat down with two of my friends, Luann and Eloise, who have both been in the content creation space for a long time. Luann has been recently getting more involved with streaming, but she's been a part of the fandom space and creator culture for years, and Eloise has been a full-time creator for just as long. Before you ask, no, I'm not parasocial with them. They let me into their houses, which I think means we're actually friends. The first thing I wanted to find out was how they defined a parasocial relationship, because I wanted to see how it compared to what Horton and Wohl talked about in their original article.
Someone being parasocial is taking that relationship as viewer and streamer and essentially deeming more depth from it than there is.
You should really only be thinking about me in the context that matter. If you're like going home and talking about me outside too much, I wonder what they do on a day-to-day basis, etc. Stuff like that is when I think it starts getting a bit like you're starting to think too much like they're your friend or someone you're close with, versus someone who's just there to be an entertainer for you.
My friend Lizzie has a baby, and I was like, wow, that's my friend's baby. I love her, you know, she's so cute. I like get updates about her and I'm like, oh, this makes my day, like, she's just so sweet. And then I was like, low-key, I'm parasocial with this baby. It's a baby, you know, and it's not quite the same, but I was like, she means a lot more to me in my life than I do hers. Frankly, I don't exist to her unless I'm in front of her. In the same way that, like, as a chatter, you don't really exist to your streamer unless you are active in the chat. And that doesn't mean communities don't hold value, but like there isn't, or there, I would say, shouldn't, with healthy boundaries, be an individual relationship there.
It kind of surprised me how strict their definitions were. As soon as you crossed that line from just being a fan and saw the streamer as anything other than an entertainer, something was wrong, which is my polite way of saying it's a bit weird. Since they both described this hard boundary between what was and wasn't parasocial, I was curious how they made sure that that line wasn't crossed.
Anytime it is possible and it is important for me to clarify where I stand, I make it clear. And it's helped me a lot personally, not have to deal with a bunch of mess. And I've been doing that since the beginning.
Like, at least in my community, I feel like they do understand that very well. They are like very vocally supportive. And I know that they gain like something from my chat, and they know that I gain something from streaming in their community, but they know that this is not a relationship. I actually feel that they're quite good at not being parasocial, and when people are, it gets called out a bit. It's like, don't do that. To be honest, when they've been called out or asked to tone it down, a lot of the time they've ended up leaving the community. And I'm like, do you know what? If that's it, if you can't participate in this community in a healthy way, that's fine. I don't want you here.
Their answers were pretty consistent. Set boundaries early and enforce them. Because if you as the creator don't define the relationship with your audience, they're going to do it for you. And odds are they're going to be way too confident about it.
It's important as a creator to understand you are in control, and you need to be careful with how you interact with people, your fans especially, and crossing that line is a dangerous game to play.
I had people come into like in my chat at one point, and I can't remember if it was like a sister or a mum role, but like one of them was like, oh, can I call you this? Like, can I call you sister or can I call you mum? And I was like, no. And I was like, no, one, it makes me uncomfortable because I'm not that. Two, I don't think that is a healthy thing for you to do. I am not a relative of yours. You do not know me, I do not know you. Putting that kind of label on who I am to you is not an accurate representation of what's going on here.
One thing they also brought up was how different demographics can be more or less prone to developing these parasocial bonds.
People who are older in my community, they understand the dynamic. I've found that I've had to educate more with people who are younger in the community, especially like that younger teen age where I have to be like, I understand you might see me as this like older role model or like family friend you look up to. I was like, and I don't mind being a role model in that way. And especially because they want that kind of person in their life, like that older sister energy. And I'm like, I can't give that, I'm sorry. And it's not good for you if you see that. Like, it's not a healthy attachment.
When someone's seeking a role model or connection and they find that within a creator, things can get deeper and sometimes a bit too personal.
I think a lot of people who do come from fandom spaces may not have that privilege or blessing to be able to have interactions with people far outside of the little bubble they exist in. Sometimes spaces can feel a little bit like an echo chamber, especially when it's people who are maybe like the only like-minded individuals you've ever spoken with. But sometimes it's good to like look back and see like, how is this actually affecting the people that this is being targeted towards?
I also wanted to know if they thought that the platform you made content on actually affected the dynamic with the viewer. If you're streaming on something like Twitch, does that make the parasocial bonds more likely to develop?
It's a live streamed version of myself. You see what I'm doing in that very moment that isn't accessible in any other form of media. So I think inherently it does. I don't think it means it has to. Like I said, if you try and set boundaries, etc., I think you can manage that very well. Just as much as it's a live experience for me as the streamer, it's a live experience for them. Like if I say something in video and you respond, video me isn't going to respond to you. Live stream me is. The very nature of it is like there's that call and response, the key bit being the response.
Fans of streamers, I think you are being exposed to such a bigger like realm of an individual, which inherently is going to make you feel like you're a lot closer to them.
YouTube is a pre-recorded, pre-edited video. Like, it's much easier to know that you are only seeing a snippet and a deliberate activity that someone's doing or a talking point or something. In the nature of the content, there's already a line that's more defined. And I think it still happens with other forms of media. Like, people have very parasocial relationships with celebrities. And these celebrities don't touch their life in any form of live streamed way at all, and it doesn't matter, you know?
For like streamers, it's a bit different because for some people, especially who do like subathons, which are where people gift you money to make you stream longer, and some people even stream like they're sleeping. So like subathons particularly, I think really push that boundary a lot more because you're seeing a 24-hour and longer time of their life, the streamer's life. But YouTubers, they control how much you see and what you as a fan are getting out of it.
The consensus seemed to be that if you're on YouTube, your videos can be edited and filtered to only show the viewer exactly what you want them to see. But if you're streaming live on Twitch, you give up some of that control as a creator. And that can make the content feel more authentic to the viewer, but that authenticity can change the relationship that they have with it. Now, on the topic of subathons, I was curious if the two had any thoughts about the idea of a parasocial economy, which is where these one-sided relationships can be used or exploited by brands and creators to generate profit from the audience.
Yeah, I do see people's concern, and I do think there are probably people who do deliberately exploit that kind of relationship and that want to know you to their like benefit and their monetary benefit. I deliberately do not tug on heartstrings to try and get subs or to try and get donations. I don't ever try and lean on that relationship my chat has like with me if they are parasocial in any way, because I don't think it's fair. Like, I don't really call out for subs or anything like that because I don't know, I don't want to exploit that relationship. Like, and I am aware they do subsidize a portion of my life. There is no way around it. They are there. I mean, I've had donations before that have been like massively impactful, and you know, I've always been like tried to be very clear of like, I really appreciate that, but like, please don't do that unless you're comfortable. Like, and also like I've seen friends have to set boundaries of like, just because you have donated, that doesn't give you access to me. And I've fortunately never had to do that, but like, I think you do have to set those boundaries. So yeah, I don't know, it is tricky, but I just think as long as you are clear with your chat, I think it would be quite unfair to say that people are benefiting off parasocial behavior, because if you're doing your part as the creator to minimize that and to like manage that, then you're not really.
There's a bit of research by Daniel, Orme and Ferchaud. I'm so sorry if I butchered your names. I'm so sorry. That looked into how streamers saw these parasocial relationships and found that there was almost a 1.5-sided bond. If you're a streamer, especially with a smaller and more intimate audience, you can start to sort of get close with your regular chatters and possibly even reciprocate the bond to an extent. However, when I mentioned this theory to my friends, they didn't seem to like the idea at all.
I think personally, I don't agree with it, just because I think having that hard boundary and sticking to that and that definition helps everybody engaging in it. I've kind of always existed in fandom spaces. I used to be on Tumblr in the early days, but I think I always understood that there is a certain line that isn't crossed, and that these creators do not think of me outside of any context of me interacting with them.
I'm very interactive with my chat, and I have been a smaller creator. You get your regulars. You get the people who, as you grow, have been there from the start, and like, you know, I recognize them by name and even by face at times. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. Yeah, that could be deemed as like, oh, a 1.5-sided relationship. But the way I view it is like, the way they know me is only what I choose to bring to those streams. They only know me as much as I am myself in those streams. And I am quite an authentic person, but like, they don't know what goes on in my personal life. They don't know what happens, like, you know, with my family and like the other side of my work career, like what struggles there are. You know, they only know as much as I share. And likewise with them, I don't actually know them. Like, sure, I've come to recognize them as a regular, but I only know them as their role as a chatter and as their role in my community. I don't know anything about their lives otherwise. So I would still say like, no, I would argue it's not really a 1.5-sided relationship. I don't talk to them on an individual level. I have a very clear boundary of like, you know, I will not ever DM people directly, especially as some of my community are like teenage girls. It's like just entirely inappropriate to.
I, as the creator, and I think this should go for any content creator, is that you shouldn't be thinking about your fans outside of interacting with Twitch chat, in comments of any post you make. You yourself are stepping over that line. It's as important for the fans to understand that boundary as it is for the content creator themselves to draw that line in the sand. Because then you start getting into issues of like having questionable interactions between creators and fans, which I have experienced myself, so I understand that very well, how tricky that can be.
Regardless of the audience size or dynamic, you've got to set a healthy boundary as a creator. Otherwise, it can quite quickly stop just being content and start being something else for your audience.
I would say the weirdest and the most uncomfortable I had was someone creating an Instagram account and pretending to be me. And they went through like my photos, my family's photos from years ago, and like created a whole world around it. And I'm like, that is parasocial, because you've decided a relationship for me, you've decided it's appropriate. And that was like, this is fucking weird. Like, this is so mucked, it's so messed in the head. Like, and fortunately, I reported it. It got taken down literally within 10 minutes. But I was just like, it really scared me, because I was like, wow, this is a level of obsession. And I would say, not all cases, but parasocial relationships can be an obsession with that person. Yeah, that one was deeply uncomfortable, and like meant that I had to also then go and let my family be aware of it, because I was like, hey, please make sure you check who is able to view your social profiles, because there are weird people. That's the kind of unspoken side of it, is like the impact it has on your family. And like, it's something that you can feel a bit guilty for at times, because you're like, well, I chose this career. I didn't choose it to like then impact you guys. But like, unfortunately, I'd say once you get to a big enough size, and that size isn't even that big for a lot of people, it does start to then impact how the people around you are able to navigate social media as a landscape.
For some, these interactions aren't just over familiarity. They converge on being romantic or sexual, and especially for feminine presenting creators, they can come with some real safety concerns.
My partner has been a content creator longer than I have, and our relationship was like pre me becoming a content creator. So the way I've had to navigate that sort of interaction between like fans and my husband, etc., have been interesting. I think that's like the biggest woes with me. You know, you deal with a lot of people who don't know that XYZ creator is in a relationship and will make flirtatious comments, just like as a first-time chatter, etc. And it's always a bit interesting living in that perspective where you or your partner who is a creator, even if they're not a creator, may be the subject of someone's random affections. And especially since it's like on the internet, you know, being anonymous holds so much power for people. And so they can get away with saying things and, you know, they could get banned or timed out, etc. But at the end of the day, like, they haven't been as affected as the other individuals have.
It's very interesting. Female creators, when someone in their community develops a parasocial relationship, it seems to put them in more danger. And I'm not saying that when male streamers are victims of this, that they're not in danger, but like, we literally saw someone try to kiss Emaru at an event because they'd developed that relationship that she had never reciprocated. We have seen women stalked, you know, and it's not to say it never happens to men, but like, it is very clearly happening to women in a very threatening and scary way. And I think you do have to be so aware of that. It feels like when people do develop those parasocial relationships as well, it almost seems to lean more towards romantic. Like they want you from a romantic or a sexual perspective that I see happen less to men. And when I have had donors that are more sizable, constantly in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, is this going to become weird? Like, is this person going to keep donating and then going to try find out information about me? Is this like a sexual thing? Like, what is this? And so I think like that's where the nature is exaggerated more with these relationships as a female creator. It can be scary as a female creator online. You open yourself up to a lot of threat. There is a lot of vulnerability in it. I think we've just seen a lot of examples in the last year of where that has gone really, really wrong, particularly for like feminine presenting creators. And I do feel as well there's only so much you can do to protect yourself. There's only so much boundary you can set. If someone isn't willing to listen to that because they develop an obsession, what are you to do, you know?
So even now, after all these years, I'd say the original theory still pretty much applies. We can still form connections with these people that we don't actually know. But as the formats have changed, so has the scale, and this constant interactive entertainment blurs the line more than ever before.
I don't know when we will see the end of it, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know how we manage it more than those who are trying to already do, you know? I think more conversation about these kind of things is better. Like making that boundary clear and hopes that it sort of gets through to more people who might be teetering on the edge of that. Because, I mean, content creation is still relatively new in the social atmosphere that we exist in. And so maybe people just haven't learned. Maybe it's their first time watching a Twitch stream and like, it means that us involved in the community, we need to keep talking about it so that it's heard by everyone. And that won't stop bad eggs, but hopefully it can mitigate it more. But I don't know how much of it is really on us as creators, and particularly as female and feminine presenting creators. Like, should we have to protect ourselves that much?
Parasocial relationships are just as prevalent as ever, and I think it's important that while we're still shaping the way that the social media landscape looks, we ask ourselves, both as creators and as viewers, is this connection healthy? Is there a good boundary here? Because parasocial relationships aren't new, but they've never been this easy. And maybe that means we've got to be a little bit more careful about how much of ourselves we give away. Anyway, I'm going to go get back to oversharing on my Twitch, so I'll see you there.